And welcome back to another fantasy video with me, JD. You're joining me for a round 19 review. Very frustrated week because we had some amazing trade in, some huge scores with some like unique-ish options, but got absolutely killed on some of my uniques when it comes to injuries this week, low time on ground, bad captaincy. And so as a result, we scored a 23.63, which broke the chain of 23.98 and finished the rank around rank 17.75, which I have a feeling is, it's like 18 spot drop from the week before. So despite the amazing trades, which we'll go through in a second, still dropped ranks, which is very frustrating. The trades for the week were Dacos to Stewart, which was a pretty nice point boost with Stewart getting the 125. And then Sarong up to Trelaw. Trelaw, I think, maybe top scored the week or got close to it with a 149. Sarong actually had a very good week, so quite frustrating. Realistically, it probably should have been LDU that I traded out instead. But quite frustrated with Sarong, and LDU's run over the next like month is very good. So wanted to hold out the unique there and get off the more commonly owned option. Those things tend to backfire more often than they work out, but it is what it is. And so yeah, then the frustrations for the week. Oh, there was so many to talk about. Actually, we should go back to the last few so we can just look at some of those scores as we talk through them. So yeah, Butters C, like low time on ground here. Started off for the first quarter for like first half, second half. Started on the bench. Low time on ground. Don't know what was happening there. Rosie got benched. Dawson got concussed. He looked like he was on for a good score. Caldwell, who was my vice captain, probably would have saved me from the Butters score. Got subbed off because the HR was going to kill his time for the game. And then Nankervis subbed out in 67 with concussion and a forced trade. So two forced trades in Dawson and Nank, like five players. They're mostly unique as well. I mean, apart from Caldwell, like the other four are all relatively unique against like top coaches. Just like absolute killer. Yeah, mega frustrating week to be honest. Mega frustrating. So a bad captain. Lots of people had Whitfield. I missed the memo on that. I did not realize Whitfield was going to be so good. Um, so yeah, that was another like 50, 60 points right there as well. So like this could have been a mega week, right? Like easily some of those injuries that fixed, get a better captain, and that's 2,500. We're absolutely smiling this week. We've gone up many more ranks. We're looking like a threat for the top 1,000. We're getting get in there. But instead, we're still going to fight through it these last handful of weeks, which is a bit scary. And really, the big thing for me is like, what do I do with Dawson and Nankervis? So, like realistically, I could look to get some good scores off these loops and hold them. So, for example, Evan scores well, find a way to get McCurchin for the midfield, bench Dawson for a week. Because I don't think Dawson's run home outside of this week is particularly bad. Cats, dogs. I mean, it's not great, but like it's manageable. Um, and then yeah, Nankervis is picked up specifically because he's got a good run home. So this week would have been very handy. And then Cherry, Marshall, good to score on. Meek, yeah. Anyway, like killer. And I didn't have very much cash in the bank at all because I did the double sideways last week. So we've got to be pretty creative with the double sideways this week. And effectively, there's two options, which is I either go good ruck, get like a Gorn, a Marshall, or whatever it may be. I mean, imagine getting Marshall instead of Nank when I got Nank. Yuck. But like, yeah, get one of those and get a discounted or poorer mid, or I get the better mid and I find a discounted ruck. So I've been trying to like weigh up what are the value options here. And in the rucks, I mean, one of them got taken from me in Tom de Koning, so he's injured out for the rest of the home and away season, which actually made Darcy Cameron even more appealing because he's got Carlton in 2 weeks. If he's playing solo, Pito could be okay, and he's got Tigers this week in Nank out, so he's been playing the replacement ruck for the Tigers. So realistically, two nice matchups for Darcy Cameron, which has me interested in him as the one that I bring in. But yeah, like the problem is in 2 weeks I might have to move off him again. But hopefully the team's not dying in that spot, and I can think about who I want to bring in for the run home. I think like Marshall. The reason why I was interested in holding off is that Essendon, if they play dual ruck again, and then the Lions are two of the tougher matchups. But then absolutely jump into him for these last three games. So Nank's replacement. Oh, actually, no, Nank should be back by then. But yeah, Sam de Koning and Pitnet. Like I think that should be pretty nice three to finish off. So yeah, getting him this week would have been nice, but he's an extra 140k. And if I'm getting like a 750 mid, who is there? And I think that was probably the bigger reason than anything else. I don't think there's any discounted mids I like as much as I like Darcy Cameron. So even if I brought in Sarong, that frees up an extra 78k. It gets me to low 930s with Cameron. What are the rucks and like, I don't even think Meek's that cheap. Come on. Yeah, no, like none of these are cheap enough. Yeah, so I'd have to be cheaper than Sarong, who I already traded out last week. So I don't know if I could even bring him back in. Steele I don't like. Walsh I don't like. I guess like Green's a bit cheaper again. No, no, wait, sorry, this is more expensive. Sarong's down here. Um, like there's literally no one. There's no this is so dire down here. You can't go any of these options. This is not good. This is not good. Even the one that would have been cool if like Crouch comes back this week. I think he's like closer to 900 as well, isn't he? Oh my god, the slider is not working at all. That's absolute killer. Watching a man struggle to use a mouse wheel is entertaining viewing. I do not doubt that. I think that's why people tune in. So yeah, Crouch is actually super expensive. So really, like, I'd rather spend someone around this 900k price point and get Dusty Cameron. I think that's the best balance of these two for me at the moment. Dusty Cameron the next 2 weeks, then upgrade to Marshall for the run home or whichever ruck I want to jump onto. Could even be Nank again. It'll be cheaper once the concussion's filtered through. If his run's still good, then some interest. And then yeah, Brayshaw. I think once again, like both of these are left field options as well, which is a little bit nice. I'm trying to make that room. So Eagles this week, which he should go right on. And then in the run home, still got the Cats as well. GWF has been a little bit better. Don's been bad. So honestly, like I could see some nice scores popping up in these ones for Spray. So interested in him as left field option. I mean, it probably makes more sense if I'm being legit here to go to Green, commonly owned, but like that makes a lot of sense. And he's actually been putting up good scores again. You know, a couple or like 3 120s in his last 5. So that's been not great to jump off him, but yep. It probably helped by like Cogs out, Kelly out type thing, so it's more back on him. So I really should be probably considering him over Brayshaw, but it's just whether or not I want to go unique. I think Laird's probably another option I could look at from the unique, but he's been a bit up and down. Really, like lots of sub 100s with a good score there. Although was he also someone that had low time on ground, only 70%? Actually, he's really low time on ground the last 4 weeks. What's odd? Very odd. Although I guess it's closer to what it was at the start of the year. Just low time on ground type guy now. Walsh, no interest in. Dacos, we're not bringing back. Okay. Yeah. So I guess the question here is like, if I didn't have to do these forced trades, and this is probably what a lot of people are in, because not that many people had Dawson, not many people had Nankervis. But if you were in the boat where you didn't have these two, and you could just do any options this week, then like, what are the types of trades you should be looking to do? Now, while I jumped off Dacos last week, I probably wouldn't look to jump off this week because they've got the Tigers and maybe Graham's not playing again. I mean, maybe Graham is playing. So if Graham's playing, I think you could look to get off Dacos, but in reality, he should score well this week, and then I think he can jump off. But the person I do have my eye on is in defense is Newman. So Port this week, probably not the best matchup, but then Collingwood, Hawks, Eagles, West Coast Final Four. I could see some really big ceiling scores from him in there. And we know from last year, even from a couple of games this year, he's got 140s in him, absolutely in his wheelhouse. So I'd love to get Newman in. For me now, it's probably going to be for Young. Next week is probably the target there. I'll do a rookie downgrade and then get Young up to Newman. But that, of course, depends on everything else going well. So that's probably the trade to be looking at. Yeah, so you could do that this week if you're a young owner. Now, the thing is, like, the mid matchups for Freo is good, but his role just isn't what it was anymore. So I think these, like, high 80s, low 90s is probably what you expect as an average from here. I want to jump off that. You could go to Stewart or something like that as well. North this week, Adelaide the week after. I think, like, he's still an option as well. So Young up to Stewart this week, and then maybe jumping on Newman the week after. I like a lot as options. In the forwards here, this is probably the other place I'd be looking to make a move. Yeah, he's got to a 92 lucky. So Simpkin here. This is the tricky one because, yeah, Cats, Tigers, Eagles next 3. Really nice matchup for the North Mids. And as I mentioned, this is part of the reason why I held LD over Sarong. It's just the fixture is amazing. So I think Simpkin should bounce back and score this week, but I'd be really tempted to trade at the same time and get him up to someone else. I think in all likelihood, though, I probably just wait until Rankin is back. and then move him on at that point. Wood obviously scored well, and I think it was J Pop that was talking about his fixture on the run home being pretty nice. So he's another one that you could consider as a left field option, old Wood. Rankin's got how many games left? He had a 4 week suspension, was it? He's got two more, round 22. Yeah, I mean, I could go Simpkin to him then. Um, or maybe it's like 23, 24 or something. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, maybe I hold on to him. Fisher obviously came back and got subbed out, which was my concern with him. So that's obviously not touching him there. Jackson, I think had a decent week. Right? Oh no, it was better in Supercoach than fantasy. But yeah, with Darcy back, I probably wouldn't be touching him. Uh, yeah, not too much. Oh, I think Danaher must have had a good week, right? He started strong. Did he finish strong? Oh, just an 80. That's been disappointing. Okay. So yeah, so I mean, really, there's not a ton that I want to jump off. I mean, Myers should do well against North this week. I think you'd get a big game out of him there. But yeah, so jumping like at least reconsidering Simpkin would maybe be the other option. But yeah, Stewart Newman, I like his targets over the next couple of weeks in defense. In the midfield, like obviously I jumped on Trelaw last week. I think probably hard for me to say no, but the Swans matchup isn't the one I'd be targeting. It's partly because I had the Cats this week, and then the next four after that I think will look pretty good for the Dogs. So I don't think you have to jump on him this week against the Swans, but from next week on, I think you could be looking at Trelaw as well. Yeah, Brayshaw's run should be all right. Sarong, Green, I think are all decent options. The Port run is actually like rough for the next 2 weeks in Carlton and the Swans, but then it's like all right for the run home. Merritt's run's okay. We'll see how he goes. The North run's good, so you could, I think, consider LDU as a left field option. What's interesting is I think the Lions run gets harder after the next two. Oh, actually, no, it's still fine all the way home. All right, so you could still be looking at Dunkley and Neil. I think like their options, and I'd still preference Dunkley over Neil just because the tag risk, which we saw play out on the weekend. Any of those good options. Sinclair, I guess, is another one that looked pretty good as well. So I think you could consider him in defense. I like this like 22, round 22, 23. That's a nice fixture as a luxury kind of upgrade to make. But I mean, I could see him, being a better option than like McKercher for me on the run home. But I'm going to keep that unique McKercher. And with Cats, Tigers, West Coast next three, I want to ride him through that period. So yeah, like frustrating week because even though I obviously got crushed a fair bit with the bad luck and kind of treaded water, I actually do feel like the team's in a decent spot overall, and I'm actually pretty optimistic about the fixturing, which we've been like slowly building up and targeting. Evans is bench cover, Dowling is bench cover, Fraser, Thomas. These are all good rookie bench cover with money on them. So if I do need to do a one up, one down, I can. Could even consider looking at getting like a 23rd 1 week. So if someone like Fisher becomes cheap enough and then looks good, could do something like that. And then like oh, it's probably not that. It's probably like if I could get to Rankin and then like bench Simpkin as cover or something, or just play him for ceiling. Something like that I could definitely consider on the way home. But yeah, I think in my team they're just trying to plan ahead and what people could be doing for now. Like Newman in defense, maybe Sinclair. Any other defenders that make sense? That's probably it. I mean, I don't mind Clark as an option, but he's getting more and more attention, so scoring's dried up a bit. But yep. So yeah, Holmes I don't mind either, but I don't know what his scoring's like been this. That's still been better than Supercoach. So yeah, Sinclair and Newman are probably the two that I'd consider at one into my defense, and prioritizing Newman over Sinclair. In the mids, there's no one like I'm absolutely desperate for, but I think when it makes sense, like getting Dunkley in would be good, and I'd probably rather have him over the Port boys the next couple of weeks given fixture. Um, and Green looks good given the run as well. So we've got him. It's a nice little hold. Walsh, I think you could probably jump off. And this run isn't bad. Like Blues run is good, but I don't know. Like this is not good 3 weeks, and he hasn't even been getting tagged, which is where you expect those really big drops to come from. But yeah, there's no one in the midfield I'm like absolutely desperate for at the moment, I don't think. Even though I think there's a couple of guys that could do better than these on the run home. In the rucks, it'll obviously be upgrading Darcy Cameron, probably to Marshall for the run home. I should just check these others. I think Gorns isn't too bad. I mean, he gets to this point where he gets like Sweet or like English Sweet, potentially Moyle, and then Cameron. Like that's a pretty nice run home there for Gorn. Nanks we went through, Marshalls we went through, but yeah, like those last three look pretty good. Then English, what's his ruck run look like? I mean, Grundy gone the next two, then Rob, Cherry. That last matchup's good. I don't love this. I mean, I wouldn't. If if I owned English, I wouldn't like trade out of him, but I'm probably not targeting him. And then in the forwards, yeah, I think it's just Rankin over Simpkin is what we'd look for. If Darcy went down, then Jackson in, and that's probably about it. So I think like pretty happy with the team overall, in a decent spot, good cover. Last thing to discuss is really vice captain, captains, and all that good stuff this week. So I mean, Cherry got the vice captaincy on against Sam DeConing. He's been giving up mega scores to Rucks. I think that one's a bit of a no-brainer. Plays early, you can activate your loops and all that good stuff. Captaincy is a little bit harder here. I've popped it on Whitfield maybe just to be sad, but I mean his run to post buy has been amazing. So this is like a very good hold. The 160 against the Crows, 132, Tigers 145. Against the Ds, I could see another reasonable score coming up. They've got A and B to give someone attention, but do they give it to him over someone in the midfield? I mean, obviously, as a non-green owner, I strongly suggest they put it there, but I'm not sure that's the case. I think Merritt could score okay on the Saints. He did a 110 on them earlier this year. They don't have a tagger at the moment. Essendon, yeah, I was saying in the Supercoach video, is a very depressed Essendon fan. I hope he bounces back, but I'm not sure that's the case. It could be Caldwell again, honestly. His form's been great up until this like 86, injury affected 86. It's been 120s the last 4 weeks. So maybe it's just Caldwell again. Stands on steal and tackle bots him. I guess the concern here is like Parrish is a test, so he might come back this week and affect things a little bit in the midfield pecking order, but we'll see. Yeah, otherwise I don't love captain options this week. There's not a ton I see that are like seem super secure. Sydney have the Dogs, and Dogs have Sydney, and I think those are not matchups I typically try and target into. Bont hasn't been particularly good. Trelaw injury risk, like the whole bunch of reasons why I wouldn't captain there. So definitely Cherry VC, and then I'll probably go for a safe C with the field. So like a Whitfield, a Merritt, whatever is kind of popular this week, I'll jump into. So yeah, that's me for the week. Even though we didn't move spots, I'm still hopeful that we can pick up some pace on the run home and hopefully go for top 1K. But probably a couple of things got to fall my way. We can't have weeks like this again where we just have so many guys injured or getting rested or whatever it may be. The forced trades got to avoid that. So fingers and toes crossed and all that stuff. Hope you're doing well, and as always, see you in the next one. Peace.